Hey, it's your girl, your niece, your auntie, your sister, Angelia, Lady J. Johnson, saying welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. Well, we're back at it. We are talking about pretty weeds, the concept that I was given several years ago when I was going through so many things in life and was faced with a version of myself that I wasn't very pleased with. Pretty weeds is the concept of that person you've become as a result of dramas, traumas, and abuses that have been inflicted upon you through circumstances, situations, and people in your life. And because you weren't equipped with the tools to know how to handle those situations, circumstances, or people correctly, you began to morph or transform or become a lesser version than your highest and best self. You guys know that I'm going to tell you to get your finger exercises on because you're going to need to pause this video. So if you're pausing, that means you're writing something down. That means you need a pencil or a pen. Go grab those right now if you don't already have them. And finally, you have to have something to put that pen and pencil on, some paper. So go ahead and grab that as well. This week, we're going to talk about how to acknowledge the need to change some thoughts. Thoughts are an idea or an opinion that is produced by something that you're thinking or a sudden occurrence in the mind. Thoughts have to be recognized. That's what we talked about last week. And the best way I can give you an example of recognize is just simply stopping to pay attention to the thought. And recognizing and acknowledging almost seem like twins, but there's a slight difference. And the easiest way I know how to explain that difference is by kind of going with the dictionary definition. Recognizing is simply validating that something exists, but acknowledging something is to give it a why, if you will. In other words, I was thinking about this today. Super simple. If I'm at a red light, I recognize it's a red light. But to move into acknowledgement, I'll have to tell myself, what am I supposed to do at the red light? So it's that simple. Thoughts recognized means you stop and say, I had a thought. You recognize it. But acknowledging, why did I have that thought? And so sometimes the thoughts we have are not so good thoughts. And the reason why we have to recognize them is because we don't want that negative thought to become a negative thought pattern. So what we want to do is recognize it. Oh, I thought about whatever. But then acknowledge, why did I have that thought? Is it because I'm getting ready to go somewhere and I really don't want to be around those people? Is it because that place takes me to a bad memory? Is it because that circumstance I don't feel comfortable or at ease? That's that acknowledging of the thoughts. And those are super important. We go throughout our day and there are several things we do without much thought. It's just become automatic. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have to think about putting my left foot down first and then putting my right foot down and then putting my left foot back down to walk. Thankfully, I don't have a condition that requires me to really have to put much thought into that. I just walk. And so there are so many things that go on through our day that much thought doesn't go into. But because of that, when we do have thoughts that kind of linger with us, they're lingering for a reason. And we need to not only recognize them, but we need to acknowledge them because sometimes there's a need for change. Again, when that thought has become a thought pattern, you need to find out, are these good thoughts? Is this a good thought pattern? If so, water that. In other words, continue to think those thoughts. Continue to stay in that headspace. Continue to grow and let that blossom into something beautiful. But if it's negative thoughts and it's become a negative thought pattern, then we really need to think about changing that. Because here's the deal. Say it's negative about a person. Even if that person doesn't always display good qualities, if they're downright nasty, let me tell you what negative thoughts do. They sit up as seeds, just like good thoughts. But let's stay on this line. Negative thoughts will stay as seeds and they will produce a harvest that will give you more to be negative about that person. And then that negative energy causes you to be drained and pulled down. So even if that person is nasty, is ugly, is not such a good person, is working on their own pretty weeds, I still encourage you to find a way to not stay into that negative thought pattern, because you don't want that now to become weight for you. Negative thoughts can start to affect your health, and you don't want that to happen. Anything negative produces more negative, and it affects the person that's holding on to that negativity. So guess what? Even if you're dealing with a negative person, you developing negative thoughts, which become negative thought patterns, builds up negativity in you, and you now become affected by that person's negativity. So it's best to learn how to shift that energy, those thought patterns, those initial thoughts, so that you know you're not carrying the weight and you're now not affected negatively. So next week, I'm going to show you or give you some tips on how to actually change those negative thoughts. But you have to recognize them, and then you have to acknowledge them. This has been your girl, your niece, your auntie, your sister, Angelia, Lady J. Johnson, saying until next time, peace. Hey, it's your girl, your niece, your auntie, your sister, Angelia, Lady J. Johnson, saying thanks again for coming to my channel. I hope something was said to empower you to be a better version of yourself. And to get more of that, look at more videos, listen to my music, and subscribe.